Mars, sphere, perspective. The universe can be defined by war. Now, I don't mean the combats and killings and slayings and murders and genocides. I mean the combat of elements. In this pluriversalist universe, cosmos, not everything is in harmony. Some things are disharmonious, cacophonous. In other words, peace is a form of war. Because to sustain peace, you need to lead to a certain reformed tension. Now, in this combat of forces, currents, astralistic powers, in the pluriversalism, some forces do not see each other. For example, is a Christian angel programmed, hardwired to attack whatever contradicts its religion as a propaganda machine on earth in the West? Does he see the gods or goddesses? Probably not. The idea of the chthonic dead or the demons or souls of animals and hybrids of various forms of totemic fetishization of this whole astral world, they don't see it because they're blind. What does it mean to the beholder as a second sighter that operates with many palaces of those worlds and dimensions? It means that the world is highly complex, but not wholly chaotic. Like nature likes to hide, metaphysics and astral beings like to hide. That means that nature, the biological evolution, the Evo-Devo, evolutionary biology, has its limits. Otherwise, we'd have a mutating bioplasm of absolutely everything with everything, containing all forms of chaos, like in Chaos of Forms and Zerification. However, life on planet Earth, in the term of evolutionary bioplan of a form, has its limits. We have this much millions of specimens of animals, billions of specimens of bacteria, and all that. But it is a finite pool, a finite set. We have ongoing mutations. New species evolve. Some species die. Like we know, we are going through sixth extinction, mass extinction of animal specimen on Earth. Since years, since at least some decades. And nobody's talking about. This is the pool of genetic diversity and biological diversity. And it's the same with the astral world, or the, let's say, bestiaries of this world and many others, spiritually speaking. It is delimited by certain laws. Therefore, it is a finite resource, just like the physical objective laws. They have finite observable laws and many, if not infinite, laws that are considered by some metaphysical or not understood by earthlings nor human physicists. Yet, and perhaps never, because we have a limited form of apparatus and intellectual capacity to process it all. And as the category of the universe, human being creates categories of what is within limit of its comprehension and ability to understand, order, and explain, interpret. So back to the Mars perspective of universe as a war. Is a mountain, Mount Everest, fighting a war with corrosion? Its teleology, its aimfulness as a physical object, is to corrode and eventually be turned into a plane, for example. Meadow, whatever, in billions of years' time, perhaps completely extinct, demolished. So in this, I posit that the greatest war is the sustenance of reformed order that prohibits the negative aspects of war from proceeding within a civilizational order. That's the Herodotic logos. Every civilization culture had its logos, and Noma, the genius loci, the place where the logos is existent, codified, and proceeds onwards. And right now, Earth is undergoing a great war, not only of competing political, ideological, religious ideas, not only throwing ourselves into the oneirocracy of manipulating visions and dreams of others when nobody believes any other, and analytical philosophy and great, let's say, Hindi logic is on the withdrawal. This Oniric age is a battlefield in which a new order in birth pangs is being Prometheanly born. In other words, there are agents of chaos, of order, of this current, that current. This ideology, that religion, this politics, this economic order, and so on. And many are active agents in this fight on battlefield Earth. And some are faring better than others in this war. So I am simply contradicting the Fons Vitae, that theological, philosophical concept of the medieval times. But here there is the mortal human being, then there are angels, God, and everything is in perfect order. It doesn't work that way. He is the mortal human being among the animals. Then are plenty of, let's say, demonic forces, agatho-daimonic forces. There are the gods liberated, then noetic intelligence, then astralistic forces from faraway star, then the spheres of the planets with myriads of intelligences and spiritual entities, gods and goddesses of lower order assigned to those spheres, each having their own nature. Planet Mars has its own nature. Therefore, the spiritual retinue of Mars is in variables compatible with that sphere. That's why it's there. Same with Saturn. Saturn has its nature as a planet, and you may consider it an archontic force, a disembodied abstract force that is large, great, and you have myriads of spirits, intelligences, gods and goddesses, various maestras disembodied associated to this particular sphere. So it goes with stars, other exoplanets, different configurations. What would it be like to live on a planet inhabited by different animals or even intelligent beings? In a binary star system, different configurations, astralistic, different occult forces, different ethos, different technologies. Fantastic. So the question is, how do I know all this? I interpret my task as a hypophet. Hypophet is someone who is interpreting the divine streams and currents, as opposed to the prophet, prophecies, that is foretelling the future based on what he knows in socio-historical standing. Therefore, prophecies are never perfect. Hypotheses are the act of interpreting hermetically, Hermes Trismegistos, hermeneion, delimiting, based on the socio-historical standard scientific advances, what you know, while experiencing all of this and attempting to interpret it in a way that you are capable of, that your mind is capable of, intellect, and so on and so on. So it's never perfect. That's why I'm an enemy of the idea of the revealed truth, religions, or revealed something. No. The world is revealing itself according to your capacity. But what the mortal human being, that is not the center of everything, will do with it is the act of interpretation. And therefore, I engaged in these hermeneutic duties for many, many years, trying to order it all, this chaos, this combating forces into some kind of a solid order, or Dabha. That's what it means. You make an order out of chaos and you regenerate what is known with new knowledge and ideas. And whenever someone says that everything was discovered and there's nothing new to be written, no new ideas to be developed, I need to mock that person, because that means he is a naive materialist, a naive realist. And he doesn't see beyond the tip of his nose. And once you acknowledge metaphysical realities that are beyond our comprehension, that are highly complex, that are ready to be explored, then the things you may discover and know are infinite in a way, but still delimited as nature is, as the metaphysical world, by certain dynamic laws, deep laws, absolute laws, little laws, sectorial laws, local laws. And this is fascinating. To be a disciple of the universe, of nature, sciences, art, performances, mortals, spirits, God, that's a never ending task. And the beauty of it is that every new generation, with every child born, you need to rediscover it anew. Not in the same way, you need to relearn certain things, build on the shoulders of giants, and then become the disciple of the universe and discover new things. There's no such a thing as a man knowing all. Never was. There's no such thing as omniscience in the mortal area. And that is beautiful too, because you continuously develop, adapt, expand, and understand. I hope I explained it a lot. And I'm not playing an expert in fields that I'm not an expert in. I value expertise in fields that are different. I'm a bit of a general scientist, critically building bridges in between disciplines plus the magic and metaphysics. And that's my limited specialty in the general scientist knowledge. So, if you're ready to discover new things, go for it. The world is waiting. Be that disciple of the universe. Because maybe they'll need you in a faraway star, disembodied, or different sphere. So, some of us are employed by corporations. Like I used to be a corporate magician once. Some of us are employed by gods. And I prefer the latter. Thank you.